Okay, so on the first two problems, we're going to have the same instructions. So I'm going to write that out. Okay, on number 1 through 2, find all real zeros of the function.
I thought you spelled zeros with an E at the end.
That's a good question, Alvaro. Sometimes I see it with E and sometimes I see it without an E. I looked it up online, even on Google, and it said that you could do it either way. So we'll do it this way so we can save time. All right. But that's a good question because I also wonder that myself. Okay, so this way, again, I'm teaching you more ways to do what we already learned last class because some problems work one way, some work the other, okay? It just depends on the type of problem that they give you, okay? But this way we're going to do synthetic division. Right, synthetic division, which I feel like many people liked to do, okay, mainly because it was kind of quick and easy. Okay, so this way is at least maybe a good way to get it into an easier to solve problem, even if it doesn't solve the whole problem using synthetic division. Okay, so today's first problem, number 1, will be f of x equals x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, and we're going to use one of the things we learned last time, the potential rational zeros formula from last class. Okay, it was this, right, where you had the factors of the constant divided by the factors of the leading coefficient. Okay, because when we do synthetic division, if you remember, it's where you have the little upside down division, you have a number out here, and then you have the digits of this inside, and then you multiply, and then you add, and then you put the answer here, and then you add down, and you multiply, and then you add, bring the answer down. Okay, but how are you going to know what we're dividing by unless we figure out a way to figure that out? Okay, so that's what we're going to figure out, what the potential zeros are, so that we know what to divide by. Okay, so on this one, first, what's our P going to be on this?
The first letter? The first X?
All right. P is the last one. Q is the first one. All right, so P is 6, right? So this is P. Okay, and then what's Q then?
The first one.
What's the first one?
1.
1, right? Okay, it's the number in front. So if there's nothing there, it's a 1. Okay, so it's the factors of P over the factors of Q. Okay, again, this is going to tell us what possible zeros there can be. Okay, what we can possibly divide by. So factors of 6, what are they? 1 and 6. 1 and 6. And 2 and 3. Right? I like to do them in numerical order. I guess it technically doesn't matter, but to me that makes it easier not to skip any. Okay. Also, they need to always be positive or negative. Okay. Okay, plus or minus. Because it could be -1 times -6. Okay, that would equal 6 as well. Then the Q is always the lead coefficient. It's 1. What's factors of 1?
1.
1, right? Okay, it's almost always easier whenever the lead coefficient is 1. That just makes our lives a little bit easier. Okay, so now to find our possibilities, we do all the combos of a number on top and a number on bottom that we can do. Okay, and so this should be pretty easy because it's 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, and 6 over 1. Okay, those are our possible zeros. Again, always plus or minus. I'm going to reduce these as well. So 1 over 1, 1, right? 2 over 1, positive or negative 2. 3 over 1, positive or negative 3. And 6 over 1, positive or negative 6. Okay? And maybe you don't have to write it out all the way so perfect, taking up so much space every time. Okay? I'm doing that because this is our notes, and I want to make sure we have everything in our notes that we need. So these are our possible zeros. Okay, these are the numbers we can choose to divide by. Okay, so now when we do synthetic division on our top problem, this gives us some guidance on what we can divide by. Right, and I'm going to do it here. This is kind of a guess and check thing, okay? But again, sometimes that works best for people if you're guessing and checking using something easy like synthetic than doing some really long factoring problem that you don't feel very comfortable with. Okay, so we're going to use these numbers. 1, negative 2, negative 5, 6. Okay, and then what we divide by, that would be our 0. Okay. Possible zeros are all of these, positive or negative of each of these. I would start with 1. Okay, I would start with 1 every time if 1 is 1 because it's an easy number to work with. Okay, that's just the easiest one. You know what I mean? Like, don't start with the hardest one when you could start easier and make your life easier. Okay, so I would just try 1 here. Okay, and then what do we do? All right, bring down the first one. Okay, what do we do here? Multiply, right? 1 times 1, 1. Okay, then we add, right? Negative 2 plus 1. All right, negative 1. Okay, 1 times negative 1. Negative 1. Negative 5 plus negative 1. Negative 6. 1 times negative 6. Negative 6, okay? If you get 0, no remainder,